I'm Hunter Wade at the Athletes Lounge podcast. I'm here with my guest.
Mark Dannhoff, head coach of the Potawatomi Fire.
So, coach, you coaching the TBL, and you guys just had your combine and draft. What was the experience like this year compared to years past? And did you get what you wanted going in?
Yeah, I've really been impressed with the combine and draft, how it's just continued to get better and better in all aspects. I think the interview process on Friday night is fantastic, where we get to sit down with the guys and have conversation, get to know them, hear their story, and they get to know us a little bit. And then the next day, we obviously have our team meetings, our coaches meetings, and our TMO meetings. But when we finally get to the combine, the numbers have just risen incredibly, and the talent level has increased as well. And it's just a really good experience. I thought the way the draft was set up Sunday evening was very professional, very first class, and an enjoyable experience.
So, you mentioned camp starts. I guess Sundays really when camp starts in terms of actually meeting the team and all
Mhm.
that. How many guys are you bringing into camp this year? And I believe you guys have 12-man rosters. And how many people are you
Yeah,
bringing into camp?
yeah, we have a 12-man roster, but we're bringing 14 in for Sunday is when they'll report to camp. We will have physicals and they'll check into their housing, and then we'll have physicals in the late afternoon. We'll have a first team dinner, and then we'll have a brief meeting to prepare for what's going to happen throughout the week and training camp. And then we'll get up in the morning and we'll probably have two a days for a few days and then knock it down to one and go from there.
So what's the going into a new season, and last season was very successful, and we'll get into that in a little bit. What's the kind of goal going in? Because it's kind of everything isn't a TBL, is it kind of it's much more year by year than I guess most sports. So is it kind of just put the best team together as quickly as possible?
Yeah, I don't know about how quickly, but you certainly want to get the players signed that you really want that year and have focus on and you think can be significant contributors to the upcoming season. And we signed 10 early. We signed seven returners from our previous season where we had the success that we had, and then we added three new ones who we're extremely excited about. And then obviously got some guys coming in, our draft pick included, competing for the final spots. But it's a lot of thought process to it. There's always a ton of names on the list to start the year, and it's a lot of phone calls, Zooms, conversations to get where we are to this point.
What's the tell us a little about your first round draft pick. Why did you go in that direction, and what did you like about the I guess the prospect to make you go in that direction?
Yeah, we kind of had some ideas of a direction we'd like to go. We made it very clear in the interview process that we were putting character and team chemistry ahead of talent. We knew we were, talented 10 deep, and those guys fit our culture and what we're trying to do here with the Fire. So it was really important to find the right fit. And obviously, we brought Chuck Guy, our point guard and leader, with us, and he had opportunity to visit with guys as well. And his perspective was very important for us as well. And he got to share information to these guys that were interested in the Fire. So they had you hear it from the coach all the time, but when you hear it from a player and they can ask questions that maybe, they don't want to ask a coach, or they don't know if they can trust the coach's answers. But, we're very honest, authentic, genuine here. And it was really helpful having Chuck there. And Chuck did a fantastic job, but he really lays it out for the guys. But Jalen fit, all the characteristics we were looking for: high character, uh, talented, obviously. But when talking to him, you could tell he was really a great teammate in college to his teammates, and just wanted an opportunity and would do whatever it takes to fit in. So that's why he really stood out to us. I mean, obviously, he played well. He shot the ball well, which was, a characteristic that was big for us. We really didn't limit it to any position, but a backup point guard possibly, and a shooter were, something that, we had on our minds. And he came in and shot the ball extremely well. It turned out after visiting with him that uh, he played for a former player of mine. He was an assistant coach in their organization, played for me. So it was real easy to get a real good read. And those guys know uh, how I am, how we play, my culture, the things I look for. So when I called them, you know, they were very honest in visiting with us about Jalen, and they had nothing but positive things to say. So he was really a very good fit to bring in to compete for those final spots.
The the how would you describe your coaching style? Like what's your I guess, what do you do in the process of a game? I don't know how to ask it. What do you do in the process of a game? You know?
Well, my coaching philosophy starts really off the court, leading into the court, and our culture and things are very important to us, and our coaching staff and our players have to live the culture. Uh, Relationships between player to player, coach to player, and coach to coach are very, very important. You will hear us talk about family. You hear coaches talk about family all the time. Uh, but in our situation, it's so very true. We have great relationships with the players. They have great relationships with each other. I think that's a big reason why they can hold each other accountable. That's why they allow us to hold them accountable. And it just works really well for us. It's a group of guys that we talk about sacrificing all the time, that putting aside personal agendas and accolades and honors for that one vision that would be the team pursuing and competing for a championship or our minor goals as we lead up to that. But uh, that's really my philosophy there. Our culture is all about relationships and player development, and it's such a low percentage is built into the X's and O's of things. But then when we get on the court, all those things carry over, and for them to allow us to coach them and uh, their ability to listen, and we're open. We listen to our players when they have things they want to say, suggestions. Doesn't mean we necessarily do it, but they know that they can talk to us. They know that they can communicate things in practice or in games, and you'll hear us say a lot of times, "Is that how you want to guard that?" Or
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on it? And we listen and we try to find the right way together as a unit, as a family, and that's how we pursue things from there.
What's your I guess average week like or look like in the TBL? What's an average week look like?
Yeah, our week will usually start with an off day if we've played two games that weekend, which is usually the case. So if we play on Saturday or Sunday, the following day will be a treatment and off day. Uh, our guys are fantastic. I mean, they get in and get treatment, but they also, may call an assistant coach or somebody to come in with them and get shots up. Very rarely does one of our players take a complete day off, but then we'll return. If we played on Saturday and we took Sunday off and we got treatment with our trainer, and they may have gotten shots or something like that, we'll return to the court on Monday. We'll have a full practice. Tuesday, we'll have a full practice. If we're playing Friday, Wednesday, we'll start implementing some things that our opponent, uh, may do offensively or defensively, and how we want to defend them, or things that may work offensively for them a little bit. And uh, then it depends on if we play back-to-back days or if there's a day in between. But we try to slide some stuff in for that second game here and there, but not a whole lot because we're really focused on the upcoming game before the next. Uh, we'll work in. Then Thursday would be all prep, and we play on Friday. And if we don't play again till Sunday, the next day we will come in and have a light practice. There'll be film. There'll be film throughout the week on our opponents, and then we prepare in one day for that next game, and then we go out and compete.
The what's the I guess the pace like in the TBL? I guess how does the game play? It during the season or the course of at least the regular season. It might change in the postseason.
Yeah, honestly, it's a guards game really, especially lately. But you've seen that everywhere, even in the NBA, uh, going to more versatile bigs, where they can play on the perimeter and be involved in some things that help your spacing and stretch the floor and things like that. Uh, and that's how we play. We do have three very good bigs again this year, that we will play inside out and go through. But as for a league, like your four man tends to be most of the time a bigger guard, uh, taller guard, stronger guard. But that pretty much puts four guards at least on the court at one time, and there's a great pace to it. I think we averaged 126 points a game last year, uh, and we get up and down. We're gonna play with a lot of pace this year. We hope to play with even more pace. Uh, but it's an up and down game. It's a fast break game. You better be pretty good in defensive transition if you want to have success.
The how do like most of these guys have do most of your guys have some college experience, be it at any level?
Yeah, pretty much all. Now, the kid we drafted is coming right out of college as well, but most of our guys do have pro experiences on top of that.
Does that make it a lot easier to coach them?
It helps. The guys, I've always find the guys that have been overseas and played professionally have a real sense or idea of what it means to be a professional. So that really helps us here in, continuing to build them and helping them become a professional, both on and off the court. But those guys that are coming in from college, if they listen and they build those relationships with our veterans, it's not a big adjustment for them. But just like going from high school to college, there's going to be that adjustment period.
You know, Murphy Chiropractic has been serving this area for more than 30 years. We believe in less medicine, more healing. It's time to feel better and live better. Call us today at 812-753-3346. We've got your back. You kind of mentioned how the league plays, but is there like does do you look for what your division has? Like, does anyone in your division have like a bigger, I guess a big? Do you have to adjust to that, or do you just kind of like, if you face a mismatch, do you just like to play your game, or do you like to, I guess, match up more?
Yeah. So one of the things about the guys that we bring in, and are a part of our roster really fit the way we like to play. And when I say that, that means that pretty much everybody on our roster can play more than one position.
Yeah.
So I've got some guys that are 2, 3, 4s that could also play the five because of their size. If I had to, I've got fives that can play four, uh, and I've got threes that can help me out. So uh, they can play so many positions. We're very flexible in our ability to play small or play bigger. And a lot of times, most teams struggle more matching up with us than with us matching up with them. But our conference, our division is extremely strong. Our division has won the championship the last 3 years. So just getting out of the Central Division is an accomplishment in itself.
Yeah, let's talk about your division a little bit. What are some of the other teams that you face off against in the division?
Yeah, you're going to see Santa Ana out of New Mexico, coached by Cliff Livingston. They're new to our league. Cliff coached at Kokomo last year in Indiana. And then Coach Tucker over at Shreveport's been there for a very long time. Coached the Shreveport Mavericks, won a championship 2 years ago. You're going to see the Texas Seveners have combined with the Dallas Skyline. And they've gotten better every year, and they're very competitive. Their roster is extremely talented. So we expect to get everybody's best every night. There is the Little Rock Lightning, who last year I thought they may have been the most improved team in the entire division, and I think they'll continue to trend that way. Uh, and then you have Wichita, who last year was extremely talented. I thought probably as talented as anybody in the league. They've got some new ownership now. We'll have to wait and see where they go with their new coach, Crisco. And then the Enid Outlaws as well round out our division. But there are no nights off versus anybody.
What's the, I guess, what's your background in coaching? How did you get into coaching and how did you get into the TBL?
Yeah, so I coached 30 plus years at the college level. Uh, really always thought that's where I would stay at all times. I love the college atmosphere. I love March Madness. I love developing young talent, developing young men, and helping them grow and helping them fulfill their dreams and move on and hopefully play at as high a level as they're capable. But at one time, the opportunities started to present themselves late in my college career about possibly moving on to professional, which I had never given much thought to. And the more I talked to former players of mine that played for me in college or as assistant, they thought with my personality and with my philosophies and thoughts and things like that that I'd be really good at it. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm any good at it or not, but an opportunity presented itself, so we decided to take that chance. We had a very successful season, and then the opportunity to come to Potawatomi was presented. First class organization, leadership is incredible, and they want to provide you with the resources to be successful. And when they put it all out on the table, I mean, there was no hesitation. This was the place to be.
We touched on how successful you were last year. Want to kind of go into that year? What made that year so good?
The players and the leadership of the organization. I mean, I thought my coaching staff did a terrific job, but at the end of the day, the players are the ones that have to go out and perform. They have to continue to stay focused. They have to keep their eye on that one vision that they have from day one, and that's not always easy. There's going to be times where you know, as good as our relationships are and things like that, there's guys who are going to want a little bit more here and there. But for them to, adjust game to game and day to day, and still keep their eye on that one vision, I give them all the credit in the world. And we just had fantastic young men who sacrificed everything to have the outcome that they received.
How I guess I asked this kind of how the league plays. It's pretty easy to not easy being a relative term, and the TBL it's pretty easy to get points, right?
The way the game is called, and you see it in the NBA now in G League, your defense can be penalized for, you know, things that maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago would not have been a foul are now fouls. I think defensive 3 seconds plays a major role in that as well in terms of spacing the defense and open up driving lanes and forcing guys to go further distance to what we call kill a play. But it's a really talented league and it's a guard oriented league and guys can really shoot the basketball and it's really hard to defend some of these teams.
What's the how and with that, the defense being a little bit hamstrung, how do you, I guess, get your team to defend at a high level because of some of the rules?
Well, I'm fortunate. I've got great leadership at point guard with Chuck Guy, who demands you play as hard and defend as hard as he does, and I've got several guys that just fall in line who take great pride in playing defense. And if you don't play defense, they will hold you accountable. I don't even have to really say anything because if you're not defending, they're going to certainly let you know you better start defending. But we spend a lot of time on it. We play defense a little bit different than a lot of teams do. We're going to get good ball pressure. We're going to be in situations to help. Uh, we really uh, rotate and what we call killing plays on baseline drives and same thing if it's a seam drive or wherever it comes from. our help's going to come and we're going to kill it. And we're going to force you to try to make a difficult pass or take a difficult shot. If you do get it out, and we practice this every day, our ability to scramble and recover and communicate, which is the key in the process, has been really, really good for us. So we have to spend a lot of time on it. We break it down every day. It's something that we never take our eye off, even when we go to 5-on-5 and get to maybe where we're going up and down a little bit. There's always someone focused on the defense. There's someone always focused on rebounding. There's someone always focused on execution on the offensive end and spacing and ball movement, so that there's no possessions where you can just relax or take the play off. And we talk about that all the time. Do your job every time, and it's every possession. So it doesn't matter what side of the ball, you have to step up and perform.
What's the, with that being said, how do you, I guess, how do you get your team ready for the schedule over the course of the year? Because, I don't know. I guess everyone has played college and some pro, but the pro competition's bigger. The competition in the TBL is better than college competition. So I guess how
Yeah.
do you get guys that haven't played pro competition ready for, you know,
Yeah. Well, we talked about that a little bit earlier with it is an adjustment, but having veterans on your team that can help teach and have conversation with them, help them prepare. It's easy for me to get on a young man or explain something to them, and they still may not understand what it is we're trying to get across to them, but yet they go back to the apartment or they get in the locker room and they've got these veterans who've been playing for for a great deal of time who can say, hey, listen, here's what he's trying to say. Here's what he wants you to understand. And then he can come back the next day and he gets it. So when you have an entire group, assistant coaches, myself, and players all continuing to reiterate the same culture, the same defense and offensive schemes and teaching process, and we're all on the same page, it makes it a lot easier. But obviously, talent wise, speed, quickness, strength, experience all plays a part in these young guys making that step. And we try to do the best we can to make it as easy as possible.
what's the, is it easier for your guys, you think, to buy into everything you're doing because of your success last year?
I think that certainly helps. But going into last year, it's funny because we had about 27 names on our board that we thought we'd be interested in pursuing and having come to Potawatomi. And uh, at one time, 23 of those 27 started for their team the previous year, and they averaged 20 points a game, and a lot of them averaged anywhere from 4 to 8 assists, and a lot of them averaged double-digit rebounds. So to narrow it down, and after talking it, we get it down to 12. We had 12 come to training camp last year, and those were the 12 we hit the floor with to begin the season. So um, we were very particular. We had long conversations about, this isn't going to be about you. This is about us, as a team, as a family. And if you can understand that you may not be a starter this year, you may not be the go-to guy, you may not, uh, uh, you know, uh, be the leading scorer as you've been in the past, and get all the honors and all the accolades. If you can put all that aside, uh, and have that same vision of everybody else and sacrifice, then we're interested. And we found those 12 guys. And that's why it was, just so enjoyable, to watch them celebrate when the horn went off and we won the championship. I just kind of stood there and watched because everything they had done to get there, and to watch them embrace it, enjoy it, and take it all in.
What's the, yeah, and talk about that championship for a little bit. How was that? Very rewarding?
Yeah, and I think the biggest reward was for those guys and watching those guys. We only had one guy on our team that had won a championship before. So for the other 11 guys, this was their first time. And this is something they've strived to, you know, get for so long. Some of our guys have been in the league 3, 4, 5 years, and now they talk about getting a Lily. And uh, they finally got the opportunity to get it. I mean, you got everything from total excitement, enthusiasm to crying to you name it. The emotions go from top to bottom, and I tell people all the time it was kind of like an after school special. Uh, there's always that moral to the story, and they're trying to teach you something. And we sat there and we continued to speak about sacrifice, sacrifice, sacrifice. Embrace your role, whatever it is. It may change day to day, it may change game to game, but embrace your role, and continue to sacrifice and build those relationships. And at the end of the day, they were rewarded with what we were going after the entire time. That doesn't always happen, but in this case, it did, and that's what made it just so special.
Was was that the best moment as a coach so far?
Yeah, I think for me, there's categories of best moments.
Yeah.
Coaching to me, I love every day hearing from former players, current players, hearing about them taking a new job, they're having a baby, they're getting married, something's changing in their life. Just coach, how you doing? Just wanted to check in, say hello, things like that. And to me, that's probably the greatest of of all of them. But in terms of uh, being a head coach and going through a gauntlet like the TBL and winning your division playoff championship, going on the road to Seattle and beating them and returning home and winning the West Division, and then to continue on and win the TBL championship would certainly be one of the greatest highlights.
But kind of winding down here a little bit. What's going into this year, what's your goal to repeat?
We're trying not to use that word at all.
Yeah,
We're
that's the
not,
scariest sports word.
yeah, we're not using the word defend because I think more times than not, when you try to defend something, you tend to fail. We are looking at it with the perspective of we are just another team that is going to attack the opportunity that's in front of us to go compete for a championship again.
Yeah. So and I guess maybe this is my final question at this point, going into this year, you're not trying completely new slate. And I think you got a lot of returning players. How much do you think, your rotation, how many guys do you play in a rotation usually? Is it 10?
Well, we usually play 9 or 10 on a in a close game. But yeah, I'm comfortable 1 through 12. I had, and there are times in games, guys who may not have played the last game, we're going to get their opportunity the next game because I had that much confidence in our roster last year. And I feel that way about this year. Obviously, there's some new guys I've got to get to know and develop relationships with, but we've already started that process um, here in the off season. But I'm very confident in the young men that we have coming in. I'm very confident in the returners helping to reinforce that culture and help them learn the culture and our philosophies, offense and defensively, and our schemes. I think that'll be very helpful. But obviously, there is that adjustment period. There will be developing that chemistry with those new guys. But hopefully, with the number of guys and the veterans we have returning and their focus of wanting to compete for another championship and what's the best way to get there, and that's helping those new guys adjust as fast as possible.
Well, that's really all I have prepared question wise. Is there anything you want to say, Coach?
No, thank you so much. Really enjoyed it. Hope we can do this again sometime. Hopefully, we're talking again at about the same topics next year.
Yeah. Well, I've been Hunter Wade at the Athletes Lounge podcast, and thanks for doing this, Coach.
No, absolutely enjoyed it.
Hey guys, this is Hunter Wade at the Athletes Lounge podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe where you can. Thanks.